What is up, YouTube? Third Impact here on this lovely Saturday morning to review JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, Episode 9, Yellow Temperance. See, I do know what's going on. I do know what this is. It's just, I'm a little fired up right now. I got off the phone. I just need to get that off my chest. Some people, guys. Some people. But I won't let that cloud my judgment too much, but you need to know going into this, I'm a little upset, but let's begin. So this week we're treated to another amazing episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and there was no name changes. We got Yellow Temperance and his user, Rubber Soul, which is of course named after the Beatles album of the same name. I guess Rubber Soul and the fact that he's sort of like the blob, like goo-like. It made sense, I guess, more so for the name than to just straight up call a guy Devo. I guess that's a little bit more obvious. Well, I don't know how the copyright stuff works, so I'm not going to try to look at it too much, but I was happy at seeing that the names were not changed. But getting into this episode, like we found out at the last episode, Kakyoin is a traitor. Oh, is he actually a traitor? Is he not a traitor? Well, we very quickly start seeing at the beginning of this episode that this Kakyoin isn't really behaving like Kakyoin at all. And he's not being sneaky about it. I highly doubt that this is the same Kakyoin that we were seeing before, so something's up. But yeah, I also just like that quick little part where they're ordering the iced coconut juice, and you know, it's 4 each, comes to 12 bucks, and is trying to get it for 6 bucks. That's the girl, that's her name. She tries to barter him down at 6 bucks. I just like that, because you know, you gotta barter in situations like that. It's almost an insult not to. And Kakyoin takes out his wallet to cover the bill, and this guy comes and steals his wallet, and he proceeds to just kick the ever-loving crap out of this guy, and he's saying shit like, you're more worthless than like a sewer cockroach's tiny dick, like stuff like that. Just like those, like the most ridiculous, like specific, vulgar, weird insults you've ever heard. And he's like kneeing this guy in the face. Mainly, he's just like has him in a backbreaker, and even Anne's like, oh, it's amazing. Oh, the backbreaker and such filthy language. That was a great little moment too. But this Kakyoin's honestly, he's obviously crazy. Jotaro knocks him away. He's like, what are you doing? Like stop right now. And they proceed to leave, and Anne sees him eating some beetles and some bugs. It's like, what the hell? But she thinks, oh, there's no way that Kakyoin would have been eating that bug, even though, you know, you think you could put 2 and 2 together from him behaving so crazy before. Must have just been a piece of the coconut. But anyways, they proceed to go up to this gondola sort of system that they're going to be riding. And they're standing over by the ledge, and Kakyoin asks if he can have his cherry. And when he's going over, he takes the cherry and just pushes him off the balcony. He pushes him off the balcony. Jotaro catches himself and gets back on. He's like, oh, I was just kidding. I was just kidding. Don't worry about it. You were just kidding? Like, I'm pretty sure you would have been kidding if you were like, oh, I'm gonna push you. Psych, I'm just kidding. You pushed him off the balcony. That's not... You're not kidding about pushing somebody off a balcony when you push them off a balcony. Anyways, he proceeds to do the classic cherry scene, which this part's funny because he takes a cherry, puts it in his mouth, and he does the with his tongue, and then it does a close-up, and it's like, and it falls out of his mouth, and it's very awkward. It's like, it's happening immediately after pushing Jotaro off the balcony. It's just like, he's just fucking with him. Like, he's just fucking with him. And you think, like, that tongue thing, that's just crazy. That is a huge sign that this guy is just, like, I mean, between beating up the guy, pushing him off, eating bugs, doing this weird tongue thing, like, why would Kakyoin do that? Kakyoin would never do something that weird, right? So it's like, this guy's clearly, there's something up with him. And it's about that time that Jotaro's just had about enough of this and just punches Kakyoin's jaw almost clean off. And this is when it's revealed that this is actually the stand user, Rubber Soul, and his stand, Yellow Temperance, which is like this gooey, blobby substance which can both defend when it's touched. It absorbs whatever it's touched and grows bigger while also breaking down that other thing, and it grows larger. It can act as a shield. It can also change its appearance and make clones of things. So this is a pretty crazy stand. And Jotaro, not really sure how he's going to be able to get close to this or whatever. He's got a bit on his hand, and he's informed, like, if you touch it, you touch anything, it's going to spread faster. So he doesn't really have a defense against this thing on his hand. So like throughout the episode, they're flying around the gondolas, fighting, jumping from gondola to gondola, and the one thing he tries to do is he tries to use heat on it, but all that does is make it explode, spread faster, kind of like the Blob from like the horror movie The Blob. And the other thing is, once he lands on this one gondola, he takes this kid's ice pop and he applies the ice to it. So we're like trying to science this stand out, because obviously the physical isn't going to work on this. And the ice just makes it go like into like pierce deeper into his flesh and spread faster. So heat doesn't work and ice doesn't work. It was kind of funny. There's this woman in the gondola, and she's like, "Hey, like, why'd you take that kid's ice pop?" And he's like, "Hey, is this your kid?" She's like, "No." He's like, "Shut up." It's like, that was great, but also weird, because like, well, why is this woman in the gondola with this kid if she isn't related to him? But it turns out that woman's actually Rubber Soul and Yellow Temperance in disguise. And there's this really disturbing scene with this dog that happens to be like down by her feet when he goes back into the blob form. That was like pretty disturbing. That's gonna look real nasty on the Blu-rays. But essentially this fight just is continuing throughout the gondolas, and Jotaro gets the idea at this point to break the ground and have them both fall into the water. And once they're in the water, Rubber Soul needs to concentrate on swimming and like not drowning. So since he has to concentrate on that, he's no longer concentrating on his stand's powers and using that. So in his moment of weakness, Jotaro takes advantage of this and just clocks him. And at this point, he starts surrendering. He starts trying to give him info. And he's like, "Oh, I'll give you some info, but I do have some pride. I can't give you too much info." So he tells him about the guy with the two right hands, and how his name's Centerfold, and how his power has to do with mirrors. So that's about all the information we get out of him. And he's like slowly making his escape while explaining this to Jotaro. And he gets his arm up outside of the water, and it goes through this manhole, which then connects back down into the water near Jotaro. So he's so happy with himself that he's tricked him. Pulls Jotaro against the grate and is gonna like crush him or whatever. But he uses Star Platinum's punch into the like sewer grate underwater to use water pressure to push the water out through the manhole and push Rubber Soul up into the air and back into the water right next to Jotaro. And at this point, he's like, "Okay, for real this time. Now I'm really sorry. Nothing's gonna happen again." And he uses the exact same bullshit he was using before. When Jotaro first punched him, he's like, "Oh, like, leave me alone. I'm gonna have my mouth wired shut." And then he betrays him, and then he gets put back by Jotaro. He's like, "Oh, don't hit me anymore. I'm gonna have to get my mouth wired shut." It's like, are you serious? And I can't remember the exact line off the top of my head now, but I'm pretty sure it's just something along the lines of like, just seriously, just stop. It's like, you are too pathetic of a human to even speak to me at this point. And then it just like fades out, and he just, "Oh no, holds him with one arm, and then Ora's with him with the other arm. It was pretty awesome. But then the other two hilarious things with how the episode ends. One, Joseph and Abdul are just like seen in the apartment, like they like freak out closer to the end of the episode, like, "Kakyoin! Like, what about Jotaro and Kakyoin?" It's like, didn't the last episode end with them finding out that Kakyoin is a traitor? And then this entire episode, they just sit on their asses while Jotaro deals with the situation. I thought that was hilarious. And then also, closer to the end of the episode, they're on a train headed to India, and Kakyoin asks for this cherry, like how Rubber Soul was, and he does the same thing with his tongue and the cherry again. So it's like, that one thing that seemed like one of the most crazy things that the stand user did that proved he was like a crazy stand user, Kakyoin actually does do that. That was a trait that he stole from Kakyoin. So Kakyoin's a little weird too. And that cherry thing, I don't know. What did you guys think that was supposed to represent? I have no idea. Leave your thoughts down below in the comments. But no, just in general, another great episode. Obviously, I liked last week's episode more, episode 8. That was just a great episode. And next episode is actually the first part of a multi-part episode, which is the first we're getting so far in this season, so that's pretty cool. The Emperor and the Hanged Man, I'm pretty sure it is. So we got some cool characters coming next episode. One of the characters, Centerfold, maybe not so much, but there's also another character that comes with Centerfold who is like a fan favorite, I feel for sure. So that'll be really cool. Some awesome stuff happening in the near future in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And also, yeah, again, this episode was just great. And yeah, that's about it. I'm glad I got this episode out a bit earlier this week. And I will see you guys soon. Peace out.